the continuation story of Hades and Persephone. While Persephone toured the underworld, Demeter frantically searched the meadow. She had heard her daughter scream. Demeter threw on a veil that made her fly like a bird. For 9 days, Demeter flew the world, searching for her daughter. Demeter went to different places, but she couldn't find Persephone. On the 10th day, Demeter met Hecate, the goddess of witchcraft. So Demeter flew up to the sky, where she found the sun driving his golden chariot. She learned from Helios that Hades abducted her daughter. Helios instructed her to go to Cyne's pool. After hearing what Helios had said, she thanked him and went to the pool. Soon, Demeter reached the pool. She looked for Cyne, but she's gone. She noticed something floating on the water, and she saw Persephone's belt. She confirmed that Hades kidnapped her daughter Persephone. Demeter went straight to Zeus. She asked him to return her daughter Persephone, but Zeus couldn't do anything to bring her back. Demeter couldn't please him to bring her back. She wouldn't like to stay on Mount Olympus, but she would rather to be among the foolish mortals than the pitiless gods. Sometimes the gods disguise themselves as mortals. Gods and goddesses drank nectar and lived on a food called ambrosia. In the town of Eleusis, Demeter stopped at a well. The 4 daughters of King Ceres saw her. Ceres' daughters showed pity on her and asked her if she would like to come with them. The 4 princesses showed hospitality by taking the old woman to their house. Soon they reached the house of King Ceres. When Demeter entered the house, her hair brushed the beams, and they suspected that the old woman was a god. They welcomed the goddess Demeter to their home. They entrusted their young Demophon in the hands of Demeter. Demeter decided to raise Demophon like a god. Instead of feeding him, she breathed on the baby. She anointed him with ambrosia, the food of the gods. And each night, Demeter put Demophon in the fire to burn off the mortal parts of him. The mother of Demophon saw her, but Demeter explained that she didn't harm her son, but made him immortal. Demeter thanked King Ceres for his kindness. The king wanted to build her a temple as a gift, and the people would bring her offerings. Before long, Demeter was living in a bright new temple. Without Persephone, the good goddess of the grain, lacked the will to make the fields grow food. The Greeks were starving, and they were fighting for few stalks. They prayed to the gods to give them some food to eat. Zeus and the other gods on Mount Olympus heard the people's prayers. Aphrodite and Ares pleased Demeter to let the mortals have food, but she wanted her daughter back to her. Poseidon and Athena tried to convince her and offered her something to her, but her only answer was she wanted her daughter back. Artemis, Bacchus, Apollo, and Hera tried to do something to change her mind, but Demeter became firm in her decision not to give them food to eat unless she would have Persephone. Finally, Zeus called Hermes, the messenger of the gods. Zeus asked him to go down to the underworld and bring back Persephone. The messenger of the gods brought them the message of Zeus, and he told them the news of the world above. Persephone asked him how was her mother, and he told her that Demeter had frozen the world in grief. The mortals were starving, and every god, including Zeus, begged Persephone to return. Hades told him that she was already his queen, and Zeus promised to him. But he did not ask Demeter or Persephone, so the marriage was invalid. Persephone convinced Hades to let her return to see her mother, and she couldn't let the mortals die because of their love. She promised him that she would return in the underworld. Hermes gave them few moments, and they walked to the Elysian fields. In the Elysian fields, Hades offered her a beautiful fruit, pomegranate, which meant the symbol of marriage and fertility, and Persephone accepted his offer. Hades announced that they shall be together forever. When she heard Hades say the word forever, she refused, because she couldn't stay with him forever. She couldn't abandon her mother and the whole world above. And they ended their romantic conversation by saying goodbye to each other. At the edge of Hades' kingdom, Persephone saw Charon again. The faster they go, the sooner they save all the mortals from starving. The Cerberus growled at them, but Hades commanded them to come down. Then they left and returned to the world above. Soon, Persephone was back in the sunlight and back in her mother's arms. They hugged each other tightly. Demeter asked her if she tried to eat anything in the underworld. She never lied to her mother that she ate a few pomegranate seeds and told her how much she loved Hades. Demeter asked if Zeus could do something about eating Persephone a few pomegranate seeds in the underworld. Zeus thought about using his thunderbolt to solve the problem, but it was useless. Then he came up to a decision to ask his mother's help. Zeus sent his mother Rhea, the oldest of the gods, to talk to Demeter. She explained to her that Persephone spent a third of the year in the underworld with Hades, and the rest of the year with her. She understood what Rhea had said to her. She promised not to freeze the earth again, except during the part of the year when Persephone would be in the underworld. Once Demeter knew her daughter was not lost to her forever, she joyously restored the frozen fields to their former glory. In this way, the ancient Greeks believed the year became divided. At the end of each harvest, they celebrated the marriage of Persephone and Hades. At festivals all over Greece, young people dressed up as the immortal bride and groom to act out the annual marriage. Everyone gave thanks for a good harvest. The underworld also celebrated. In the Elysian fields, they were celebrated too. So each winter, Persephone ruled in the underworld with handsome Hades, and each spring, when the seeds sprouted, the ever-young goddess returned to earth. The grateful Greeks celebrated Persephone's return with another festival. Demeter felt bad for causing people so much sorrow during the long winter of her grief. So one day, she returned to her temple in Helios. Demophon and his father thanked to her for everything she did. Then, she wanted to teach them to plant crops that keep the soil rich. So, Demeter rewarded humanity with the knowledge of agriculture. Damophone in a chariot pulled by serpents helped spread the knowledge. Like all wise mothers, the goddess came to accept sharing her daughter with a husband. And the Greeks, like all wise people, accepted the balance between spring and winter, life and death. The end.